So, as Diedrich said, we're looking to form an international scientific committee of ICOMOS, an ISC on water and heritage. So there are currently 29 ISCs of ICOMOS, and will be the 30th. So the international scientific committees cover all manner of specialist subject matter, from vernacular architecture to intangible cultural heritage to maritime archaeology, and everything in between. And the proposal was made by Diedrich van Henk at the 2017 General Assembly in Delhi. And then at that point, the Executive Committee of ICOMOS approved the formation. And then I'll just whisk through the sort of story of the ISC development so far, because we haven't much time, but we went through a series of conferences. So this is the Water as Heritage Conference in Chiayi, Taiwan, with Henk welcoming us there. Then I presented at the General Assembly in Marrakesh last year. And then there was, and from that point, we started to engage with the rest of the ICOMOS organization on the basis for forming an ISC on water and heritage. Then earlier this year, back before we stopped being able to have conferences in person, there was a very high-level international symposium on water and culture and in Tokyo, with Their Majesties the Emperor and Empress of Japan in attendance. And this picture here is of Diedrich with Dennis Rose, who's a Aboriginal traditional owner from Victoria in Australia, where I'm based. And Dennis is the leader, or was the leader, of the World Heritage bid for the Budj Bim World Heritage Site, which is Australia's most recent World Heritage Site, which was listed at the World Heritage Committee meeting in Baku, Azerbaijan last year. And Budj Bim is very significant for us in Australia, because it was the first World Heritage Site that was inscribed purely on the basis of Aboriginal cultural values. And those values are largely based on the presence of an incredibly old and incredibly sophisticated aquaculture system. And it was also the first World Heritage Site in Australia that was nominated by the Aboriginal traditional owners themselves. So that's a really important milestone. And it was great that Dennis could be at that symposium in Tokyo. So as I mentioned just now, we engaged or embarked on a questionnaire that we sent out to all the national committees and other international scientific committees of ICOMOS to gauge the need for a new ISC. And just quickly running through some of the questions, there was a feeling that there weren't structures in ICOMOS that adequately dealt with water and heritage. Generally it was felt that there weren't organizations outside of ICOMOS that dealt with water and heritage sufficiently. Although you'll see on question 6, the answers are much closer. But it seems that the respondents were talking much more about organizations within their countries, so national organizations, rather than an international organization that could bring together all the organizations that are dealing with cultural and natural heritage of water. And then overwhelmingly, there was the view that an ISC on water and heritage would be of great use to ICOMOS, and that it would be very complementary to all the activities that the other committees were doing. It is important to say, though, that this was a survey of ICOMOS members, so the feeling of people outside the ICOMOS organization would be complementary, but maybe a little different. So there are two really important parts to the proposal that we made to the ICOMOS organization. One is our mission statement, which I won't read through here, but I will put a link to the pages of the ICOMOS website, which sets out our mission statement. But specifically, I'll just read the objectives. We're looking to create an international platform for interaction between ICOMOS and its component organizations and other heritage organizations and the water sector, for networking, dialogue about significance and around management of water heritage. We're looking to develop methodologies, training, policies, and good design process. And we're generally looking to strengthen the role of water heritage in social engagement and policy making. So like I say, I'll send a link to that so everyone can have a look. And then this is a very wordy slide, but the point of this is that this is a tool that we're using, which is known in the heritage management world, at least in Australia, as a statement of significance. And this is designed to show what is significant about water from a cultural heritage point of view. And without reading all the way through it, I've bolded out some of the key points here. It's fundamentally important. It's dictated patterns of human occupation. It's an incredibly important resource. It's been useful for movement. It's defined and sustained societies. It's incredibly strategic. It's created desirable locales for living. It's been a major inspiration for art. It's utilized for a whole variety of social and recreational activities. It's key to human well-being. It has incredible spiritual significance. And a broad variety of technologies have been developed which would constitute other types of cultural heritage to manage water. And things like water supply, irrigation, sewerage, transport, power and defense all fall into that category. So in the process of undertaking the questionnaire, we brought the ICOMOS members brought forward a whole variety of organizations which we're fully intending to collaborate with, and the people attending this webinar probably represent a large number of them. This is just a slice of some of those organizations. And then what next? So as we speak, the ICOMOS General Assembly, which was supposed to be in Sydney this year, and was unfortunately cancelled because of the COVID pandemic, or postponed, I should say, because it's now happening in 2023 in Sydney, we're very happy to say. But the digital General Assembly that's replaced that is happening right now through a series of meetings spaced out at very late hours for people in Australia, but over the next few weeks. And we're hoping, well, we're fairly confident that the ICOMOS board will approve the ISC's formation, and then we'll pursue the work plan that we've prepared as part of our proposal. And key to that is developing linkages with other organizations. We'll pursue our conference series on water and heritage, and we'll publicize and spread awareness on the Water Heritage Shield, which I think will be mentioned a bit more further through this webinar. So that's everything from me. And now I'll leave the floor to much more interesting speakers. Thank you.